Hi, am I audible? Perfect. Let's continue with the yesterday's class. So yesterday we just understood about the basics of SQL, right? That is what is database, what is SQL. We saw the user interface of MySQL and we created one database with a database name that is SQL 7, correct? And we also saw how we are going to activate the database by basically using use command, right? So from this, we will continue in today's class. First of all, let me activate the database once again. If you can see, present another database which is called as simple is in activation, but actually we are using this database. So we need to again activate this particular database by using use command. I've just selected it, executed. Okay. And here we have that particular database. Okay. So now, as I said yesterday, just give me a second. Let me open one Excel file. So as we discussed yesterday, first we will create a database. Inside database, we will create tables, right? So yesterday we example of employees. Let me quickly write it here and then we will create it in SQL database. Okay. So employee ID, employee name, maybe salary and date of joining, 4 columns. Okay. In which maybe I'll enter some data. Okay. Randomly I'll enter some dates. Here, as this is an Excel file, I'm just giving dates like this. But as I said, I think we didn't mention that particular point. Let's see now. Okay. Employees is a table here. Vertical thing, whatever we can see, that is a column as we discussed yesterday. So we have 4 columns here: employee ID, employee name, salary, date of joining. In that, we are having 2 rows of data, right? So we just created a database. Inside the database, we need to create the table. Okay, let's do that. Let's create the same employees table, whatever I wrote in Excel file. So we have create is one of the command in SQL. Basically we'll have some commands in SQL. The next class, I mean, once we understood about how we are going to create insert, I mean, create the data, first we create one table. After that, the next concept is SQL sublanguages. In that we will have all the commands. Detailedly we will discuss remaining commands over there, but here create is one command in SQL which is used to create any database objects. Okay. So here database objects in the sense that can be tables, views, procedures like that. These are all we will call it as database objects. Okay. Here we are concentrating on tables. Going forward, we will see remaining thing. So create syntax. Now let's see the syntax for creating table. Okay. So the syntax will be like this: create table, table name. Okay. And then we need to give the table name. After that, we will use parentheses, that is nothing but brackets. Inside the parentheses, we need to mention the column names. How many columns we wanted to keep in that particular column, that column names we will mention. For suppose employee ID is our first column. Okay. Actually, we are writing syntax, right? So let me write it as column name 1 maybe, or else simple, to make it simple, I'm just keeping it as column 1. Okay. For every column here, we will use something called as data type. What is data type? I'll just explain you in a while. First, let me write the syntax. So column name 1, column name 2, like that. How many columns we want? that many columns we will mention inside parentheses, and for every column name we will mention the data type. So what is data type? First let's understand, then we will come back to this particular create syntax, and then we will create the table. But before that, first let's try to understand what is data type. Okay, so what are data types? In the sense, if you can see, this is an Excel file. I stored some data here. Okay, so here salary is one column. For this particular, I mean, we know that for some kind of data, for example, in salary, we know the data will be numbers. Sorry, the data will be numbers only, right? So the salary of first person is 70,000, second person is 60,000 here. So instead of 60,000, if I say hello, if I am writing any another word, Excel is accepting here, right? Instead of salary, usually salary will be numbers only, right? But instead of writing a number, giving a number, if I randomly entered some text, it is allowing me. It is not throwing me any error stating this is a salary column, you need to enter numbers only. It is not it is not giving me any alert like that, it is not giving me any error like that, right? This is one of the drawback of Excel. Okay, as I said yesterday, we have some drawbacks or we have some limitations in Excel due to which databases came into existence. In that, this is one of the limitation. Okay, here wantedly, or I mean knowingly or unknowingly, if we are entering any wrong data or irrelevant data, Excel is not stopping us to enter. It will accept, it will won't throw any errors, it accept whatever we enter actually, right? But whenever we are storing or whenever we are maintaining this much of big data nowadays, I mean, whenever we are maintaining or whenever we are dealing with big data, definitely we need to maintain systems in such a way that if we are entering in wrong, any incorrect data, it should first throw us error. It should not allow us to enter a wrong data, right? We should use that kind of robust systems to maintain the big data, correct? So that is one of the limitation I can say, correct? Suppose this is date of joining, definitely there should be dates only in this particular column, but still instead of that, if I'm entering anything, it is allowing that, it is accepting whatever I'm entering. This is one of the drawback, right? Whenever we are maintaining some large data in Excel file, if suddenly if we wrote anything wrong also, it will accept, right? So to get rid of this problem in SQL, they introduce something called as data types. Okay, so whatever problem we are facing here, to get rid of this problem in databases, we will use a concept called as data types. That is nothing but, let me write a data type first. So what is data type in the sense? Data types are something which decides what kind of value we can store inside any column. Okay, data type only decides what kind of value we can store inside any column. Okay, that is, if it is salary column, we need to enter numbers only. If it is date of joining column, we need to enter dates only. Like that, we can, we are supposed to enter that kind of data only. If we are entering any other data, it will throw us error because of this data types only. Okay, so actually in SQL we are having some types of data types. First let's discuss that. First one is numerical data type. Okay, let me show you one picture. So you can see here types of data types. Mainly we have numerical data type, okay, in which we will store numbers. Again, this data type is divided into two types, that is int and float. Okay, int in the sense we can store numbers in it, okay, like normal numbers. Float in the sense we can store decimal values also, that is, even we can store normal numbers inside float. If we are defining float as a data type, we can store numbers as well as decimal values. Okay, likewise we are having Mainly we use these three types of data types: numerical data type, string or character data type. Either we'll call it as character data type or else string data type, both are same. We will use character data in this particular data type. Okay, then date and time data type, we will use all. Again, it divides into two types: one is date data type, one is date time data type. If we are going to store only dates, then we will use this data type. Along with the date, if we want to store time, then we will use this data type. Okay, what is char and varchar, I'll explain you in a while. Mainly we use this three particular data types in SQL. Along with that, even we'll have one more data type called as boolean, in which we will store true or false values, but mostly we use these three data types. Okay, so as I said, numerical data type, first one. Again, it further divides into two, as I said, int and float. So in int we can store only numbers. Okay, in float we can store numbers and decimal values. Okay, next, second one is character data type. We'll also call it as string data type. Usually we will store characters in it. Okay, so we have two types of data types here: char and varchar. What is char, what is varchar, I'll explain you in a while. But here we need to understand one more point, that is, whenever we are storing character data, here we will define size also. Okay, so this point also I'll explain you clearly by taking one example in a while. Okay, next, date time data type. This is again divided into two data types actually. One is date data type and the second one is date time data type. Okay, usually in dates we will store only dates. Along with the dates, if we want to store time, we will use this date time data type. So actually in SQL we will have one format of storing dates is this one. First we need to use years, then months, then dates. Like this complete format we need to use. If we use any other format, it won't accept, it will throw us error. Okay, and the format for using date time data type is, within the quotes we need to write first year, month, date, then hour, minute, seconds, like this. This is for dates and this is for time. Okay, am I clear till here? If there is if you have any doubts, you can ask me, or else I'll continue with the next concept. Let's keep this session interactive, guys. You can just interact with me so that I'll understand. All right, let me continue. So we have these three types of data types, I said, mainly, and maybe next we'll have Boolean data type also, in which we will actually store true and false data. Okay, the two values only we can store in it, that is true and false. Okay, these are about data types. So now let's get back to our create table syntax. That is, let's create a table here. As I said, for creating table, we will, for whenever we are defining every column name, we will define a data type. That is the reason I explained the data types also in between. Okay, so now let me once copy this syntax, I'll paste it at the bottom and then we will continue. So this is the syntax, right? Let's create our first table. Create table, table name is employees. Okay, within the parentheses, that is within the brackets, I'll define some column names. What are all the column names we wrote here? I'll just define, I'll use them only. First one is employee ID. Okay, employee ID column, we know that maybe our data can be numbers, right? So I'll use int as a data type here. So first column name, and we need to define a data type for that particular column name. If I'm using int here, we are only supposed to enter numbers in this particular column. If I'm entering any other character data or any other data, it will throw me error. It will throw us error. Okay, that is the concept. So second column is employee name. Obviously name will be character data. Here I'm using char as a data type. I'll explain about the difference between char and varchar in a while. Okay, but I said that whenever we are defining character data, we need to define size also, right? So here I'm defining the size as 10. So whenever we are defining a size, that is, if it is char or varchar, we need to write that particular keyword here. After that, again within the brackets, we need to define the size for that particular thing. So what is this size? In the sense, here I defined a size as 10. That means I am supposed to enter only 10 letter word in this particular column name. Here size is nothing but, by defining the size, what we are doing here, we are allocating some memory for this particular column. Okay, this size is nothing but we are allocating some particular memory for this particular, we are allocating some memory for this particular column name. That is, I said I define a size as 10 here. So that means I'm allocating 10 bytes of memory here. 10 bytes of memory I'm allocating for this particular employee name column. If I am entering an 11 letter word, 12 letter word, that is basically greater than 10. If I enter greater than 10 characters, it won't accept. It will throw me error because I reserved only 10 bytes of memory for this particular column, that is employee name. My name can be less than 10 or 10, but not greater than 10, because if I am, I mean, uh, we can we can define how much we want. If I am defining 20, then I can enter the names characters up to 20 letters, like that. Okay, each, suppose if it is Raju is my employee name, each character will take 1 byte of memory. Okay, like this. Basically this word requires 4 bytes of memory. Okay, that is the concept here. So every time whenever we are defining character data, we need to define the size, and we need to enter the data. We are supposed to enter the data within that particular size only, or else it will throw us error. What kind of error it will throw also, let's see going forward. Okay, for now I'm just defining a size as 10. That is enough for us. Okay, so I hope I'm clear about this size also. Okay, so next column name is salary. For salary, I'm giving a data type as float, because just to, maybe sometimes salary we can expect it in decimal forms also, right? Maybe 1.2 lakh, 3.4 lakh, like that decimal values also we can expect. And as I said, float, actually we can store normal numbers also, it will accept decimal numbers also, it will accept. So I gave float here for salary column. Next column name is date of joining, right? So let me write like this: date of joining. Like this also I can write, anything is fine. Date of joining is my column name. For this, I'll just define the data type as date. Okay. As this is of dates data, I define the data type as date, like this. This is our syntax, and this is how we can create the table. Okay, 4 columns. For each column, whatever data we are going to enter, that kind of data types I given. So I'm just selecting this, I'm executing, the table got created. Okay, now let's insert some data here. So for inserting the data, see, just now I executed, right? Then the table got created here. After creating, to check that table name, actually we will refresh here. After refreshing, we can able to expand this tables here. Now I can see employees is my table name which we created, right? That table name we can find here. If I'm just selecting that, in the information section we can find column names, and correspondingly we can find the data types also. Okay, like that. So now this is how we will create the tables. So after creating table, we just created a table structure. Let's insert some data, right? That is table structure is created. Now let's insert these two rows of data into the table. To do that, we need to use insert command. Okay. Insert is a command which is used to insert the data. Use it to insert the data. Okay. So let's see. Let me write the syntax. Syntax will be insert into table name values, and then we need to enter the values in the parenthesis like this. Okay, let's write it. Insert into table name is employees. Okay, then we need to use a keyword called as values. Insert into table name values is a keyword. We are going to insert some values, right? That is the reason we will say values. Then within the parenthesis we need to give the values here. So values in the sense this values only. Okay, so let me give it as first is 1. I'll keep a comma, and then I'll give employee name data, then salary data, then date of joining. Okay, so like this, if you observe here what I did, after writing values keyword within the parenthesis I gave the data here. Okay, and here comma is something which is used to separate the values of a column. That is, whenever SQL sees a comma within the brackets, it will understand this is first column data, second column data, third column data, like that. Okay, once the bracket is closed, it will understand this is our first row of data. To enter the second row of data, again we will keep a comma, and then again we will start inserting second row of data like this. Okay, and if you observe, I'm giving character data and dates inside quotes, right? We need to do like that. Either single quotes or double quotes, anything is fine. But basically, we will use character data and date values inside the quotes. Okay. So, and we need to use the same format, first year, then month, then date. Okay. Like this. Let me insert one more row also. Just give me a second. Quickly, I'll insert. Okay. So after inserting, we need to select everything, we need to execute. Then again, it got executed successfully. Okay, we created the table, we inserted the data. Now let's display the data. To see the output, actually, we will display the data. That is, to display the data, we need to use one more command, that is select. Okay, the syntax will be like select star from table name. Here, technically, we will call this star as asterisk. Okay, that is, we will use it to display complete data. If we whenever we want to see the complete data from the table, then we will use star like this. Okay, let's see. Suppose if I write select star from table name, that is employees. Okay, I'm just selecting, executing, then you can see I got my output. This is how we will use select command to display the data. Okay. Sorry, my bad. Actually, I was in mute and I'm explaining the concept. No one is stopping me. So, anyways, sorry for that. I didn't check. Let me continue. Let me explain the same concept once again. Okay. I'll just clear everything. I'll take a new file and I'll explain. So, select command up to here we understood, right? Select command is used to display the complete data. Basically, if we want to display complete data, we will use star, and if we want to display any particular column name, we will use that particular column names here. Okay, then we are just trying to understand the difference between char and varchar. Okay, previously I just explained about what is char and what is varchar, so let me explain the difference once again. Okay, as I was in mute, so let me do that once again. So employee name I'm defining char as a data type and I'm giving size as 10. Okay. If I use char and if I define size as 10, what will happen in the backend in the sense? So I'm just taking one box. Just a second. Okay. As I define the size as 10, first what it will do, it will divide it into 10 separate boxes. Let me divide this into 10 separate boxes and then you can understand it very easily. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Okay, 10 boxes. So now in this, if I am entering any word, something like Sam, okay. So if I defined employee name, in that I used char as a data type and it defined size as 10. So what SQL will do? Here, size as 10 in the sense I'm allocating 10 bytes of memory for that particular column name, that is employee name. That is, I can enter up to 10 characters only. If I'm trying to enter any 11 character word, it will throw me error. Okay, so what will happen in the backend in the sense how the memory will be allocated in the sense if I entered any name like Sam, so each letter will take one bytes of memory. Okay, S in 1 byte, A 1 byte, and M 1 byte. Here basically only 3 bytes of memory I used for this particular name, right? Though I here I defined the size as 10, but my name is very short. I used only 3 bytes of memory. Remaining 7 bytes of memory, whatever we are having, if I am using char, what it will do, it will just fill the remaining bytes of memory with the blank spaces. Okay. Hi, Swapnil, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
So I think you just now joined, right?
Yes, yes, yes. I was in office call on
Uh,
university.
no problem. Actually, my bad. We got some students, and in between, I was in mute. Actually, no one said me, so I was keep on explaining, but I was in mute. So,
Okay, okay,
did you
okay.
join just now? Did you listen whatever I'm saying about this particular car?
Just now I joined around 1 minute. You were
Okay.
mentioning that carries carries
Okay.
like
Let
it
me
is
repeat. Actually, so actually, what we learned yesterday, we just created a table, right? Up to there only. I'll just
yes.
give you just one couple of minutes. I'll give you a revision whatever I said from starting, and then I'll explain the difference between char and varchar. Okay. Yesterday we understood how we created database and how we activated the database, right? So as we know, inside database we need to create a table, correct? So this is the create table syntax. Okay. Create. Basically, we know that we will create tables like this. Employees is our table name. This 4 columns we give, and in that we are entering some values, right? So to
Ye-
create the table, we will use create syntax. Okay, basically it is used to create any database objects. Database objects is nothing but it can be tables, views, procedures like that. Okay, here we are first focusing on tables. So this is the create table syntax, create table name within the after writing table name within the parenthesis we will mention column names, and for every column name we will define some data types. Okay, what is data types? In the sense that which actually data types only decide what kind of value we can store inside any column. For example, in Excel file first wrote some data, but we know that generally in salary column we can able to store only numbers, right? Instead of numbers, if I'm entering any another data, something like hello, it is allowing actually, right? Excel won't throw us error stating this is salary column, you need to enter numbers only. It won't throw any errors like that, right? Whatever data we will write, it will just accept just like that. In date of joining also, actually we are supposed to enter only dates, but randomly if I'm entering any data, it is allowing me. Okay, that is one of the drawback or one of the limitation which we are having in Excel. It will enter if we are dealing with big data in real time. So this will be a problem, right? Knowingly or unknowingly, if we are entering any irrelevant data, see, Excel is not stopping us to do so, right? So like that we have some drawbacks in Excel. That is where databases came into picture. Okay, so this drawback, actually to get rid of this drawback, we will use a concept called as data types in SQL or in SQL. Okay, data type is nothing but that which data types only decide what kind of value we can store inside any column. Okay, so basically we have three types of data types mostly. Okay, numerical data type, character or string data type, a date and time data type. Numeric data type again divides into two types, that is int and float. Character or string data type, it divides into two types, char and varchar. Date and time data type, in the sense it is date and date time. Int, actually it allows only numbers. Float, in the sense it will allow numbers as well as decimal values. Okay, char and varchar, I'll explain a difference between them, and actually what is char, what is varchar, I'll explain in a while. Okay, date and time, in the sense if we want to store only dates, we will define dates. If we want to store time also along with the date, then we will define date time. Okay, that is what I wrote here. Int, in the sense we can store only numbers. Float, in the sense either numbers also it will accept, decimal values also it will accept. Okay, and character or string data type, both are same, we can use anything, we can say anything. Basically we have two types here, and whenever we are defining character data type, actually we will define size also. Okay, so what is size? In the sense, suppose for example, okay, I'll explain that in a bit. Let's first focus this. So date time, as I said, in date, actually while using dates here, we need to follow this format. Okay, if it is date, first we need to use year, then month, then date. Definitely this format is only accepted here. If you are using any other format, it will throw us error. Okay, and if it is date time, year, month and date, along with that hour, minutes and second. Okay, this is the format to use for date time data type. Am I clear till here?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and another data type is boolean. We rarely use this. If we are defining boolean as a data type, we can able to enter only true or false, or else even we can able to enter 0 or 1. This values only we can able to enter. Okay, that is about boolean data type, but mostly first three data types we will use. Okay, so I created a table. So employees is our table name, whatever table we created here, the same table. Employee ID is our first column. Obviously here I define a data type as int. That means we can store only numbers here, right? Employee name, in the sense that is character data, I define the data type as char for now. Okay, here as I said, for every time whenever we are defining character data, we need to define size also. Okay, so after writing char or varchar, that keyword, we need to use brackets, and within the parentheses or brackets we need to define the size. That means here I gave the size as 10. That means I'm allocating 10 bytes of memory here. That is, I supposed to enter only 10 letter word in this particular employee name column. That is less than 10 or else 10, but I'm not supposed to enter any names greater than 10. If I am entering it will throw me error stating data too long to enter into that particular column. That kind of error we will get going forward. We will see that error also. But basically like this, we will define the size. And whatever size we are defining here, basically we are allocating that much of memory for that particular column. I'll explain you in a while. Okay, so this is about the size. Next, salary column. For that, I just define the data type as float, because maybe sometimes we can able to we will get decimal values also here, right? Like maybe 1.2 lakh, 3 point, like that, right? And whenever we are defining float, in the sense normal numbers also it will accept. Okay, so wherever we feel that maybe there is a chance to get a decimal values, there we can define float. Date of joining is one column. I define date here. Okay, then I executed, we created the table. After executing, we need to refresh here, and once we can expand tables and we can able to see that table name here. Okay, whenever I'm selecting that table name in the information section, I can see the column names and the data types like this.
Yes.
Okay, next, insert command. Basically we will use to insert the data in it, and this is the syntax. Insert into table name, values is a keyword, and then we need to use parenthesis. Within the parenthesis we need to enter the data like this. Okay, so within the brackets, whatever I enter in that, when SQL sees this comma or delimiter, we will call it as, basically it is a separator here. Whenever a comma is used, that means this is first column data, second column data, third column data, like that. Okay, and once we close the brackets, again we are keeping a comma. That is, SQL will understand this is first row of data, this is second row of data, like that. How many rows we want, that many rows we can insert or we can add here. Okay, and if you observe, for character data and for dates I used quotes. Either we can use single quotes or double quotes. For this, only numbers we will write normally, or else for character data and for dates, definitely we need to use any of the quotes, either single or double, both are acceptable. Okay, so I
Okay.
gave 3 rows. If you have any doubts, you can ask me, Swapnil, or else if you want, I'll explain little bit slow also.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm getting
That is,
it.
yeah,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
perfect. So anywhere, if you didn't get it, just stop me. Okay. So
Yes.
I already inserted this data. Once again, I'm not executing. So I executed, we got the data. Okay. Then to display the data, we will use select command. Okay. Once I insert the data will be inserted. By using create command, we created the structure of the table, that is table name and the structure. The column names will be created, data types will be defined. Okay. By using insert command, we will insert the rows. And after that, to see the output, we need to use select command. Select command is basically used to display the data. Okay. And the syntax will be this one. Select star from table name. Technically, we'll call it as asterisk. That means if we want to display the complete data from the table, then we will use asterisk. Okay, like this. Select star from employees. I'm selecting, executing once again. We can able to see the output like this. 4 columns, 3 rows, whatever we entered just now. Okay. And instead, if we want to see complete data, then only we will use asterisk. Instead of that, if we want to see any particular data, we will use that particular column names here. Okay, suppose if I say employee name and salary, if I execute, we can able to see that particular data only, like that. Okay,
Yes.
so now here what I did, first, let's try to understand the difference between, or else I can say what is char and varchar. Here, actually what I did, I took, however I defined there, employee name column I took, and then I defined a data type as char, and then I use the size as 10. Okay. Whenever we do like this, basically that means in the backend, what will happen in the sense, here 10 bytes of the size we defined as 10. That means we are allocating 10 bytes of memory for this particular employee name column. Okay, so to make you understand, I just took a box like this. In that I divided 10 boxes, I mean 10 divisions I had made, because we define the size as 10, right? Basically each character will take one byte of memory. Suppose if I enter Sam as a word, each letter will take 1 byte of memory. And imagine that this is 10 bytes of memory, whatever I define. In that I entered a word called as Sam, then it will take 3 bytes of memory, right? Each letter 1 byte of memory.
Yes.
Correct. So 3 bytes of memory is used for this particular name. Remaining leftover 7 bytes of memory will be there, right? So whenever we are defining char, what will happen? Whatever leftover bytes of memory, for that char will take actually the blank spaces like this. Okay, blank spaces it will take, and by default it will use the complete 10 bytes of memory for the same employee name column. Okay, irrespective of whatever name we are entering. If I am entering example John as a word, then 4 bytes of memory will be used actually. Whatever 6 bytes of memory, instead of giving back to the database, whenever we are defining char, the 6 bytes of memory will also be used by just filling with the blank spaces. Okay.
Yes.
So that means what we can conclude here, whenever we are using char as a data type, memory wastage is happening, correct? Our memory is getting wasted here.
Yes.
So this is about char. For suppose, let me, in the same way, if I use employee name and if I say varchar, I define the size as 10. Okay. What will happen? Again, same, I'll just divide a box. Okay. I'll take some 10 separations. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So for example, let me use this. For example, if I use any other name here, suppose if I entered John, J in one box, H in one box, H in one box, and O and H in one box. Basically, 4 bytes of memory we used here, right? 4 bytes of memory we used. Whatever leftover 6 bytes of memory, if we are using varchar, this won't be used. The 6 bytes of memory, it will be given back to the database itself.
Okay.
Okay. In char, if I am using char, irrespective of what I'm entering, irrespective of what bytes actually I required, remaining bytes of memory will also be used for the same employee name column just by filling with the blank spaces. So here, that is the reason we can say memory is getting wasted whenever we are defining char. Whereas if I am using varchar, though I define the size as 200, and still if I use only 5-letter word, whatever left over, that remaining bytes of memory will be given back to the database. Okay, so here
Yes.
memory wastage won't be done. We can define how much we define also. Whatever we are entering, that much of data only, that much of memory only will be used. Okay, this is the main difference between char and varchar, and this is a important, very important interview question, even for freshers, even for experienced persons. How much experience we have also, whenever we are facing any SQL interview, the first question, the basic question would be difference between char and varchar. Simply we need to say in char memory will be wasted, in varchar memory won't be wasted, because it will be allocated how much data we enter, that much memory only will be allocated, and the remaining memory will be given back to the database. Whereas in char, irrespective of what we give, whatever characters we used, the complete size whatever we define, that complete memory will be used for the particular word. Okay, so because of this, what we will say, basically char we will say as fixed length. Char is also called as fixed length data type. Varchar is called as variable length data type. Okay, fixed length in the sense that will be fixed. If I define size as 10, that will be fixed, that 10 bytes of memory it will use definitely. Why variable length? In the sense, how many, suppose it is not fixed to whatever length, whatever size we are defining, variables, how many letters we are using, that much memory will only be used, right? That is the reason we will call it as variable length data type. Okay, this is one first difference. Second point is that in char, okay, in char we can store up to 255 characters only. Okay, 255 characters only we can store. In varchar we can store up to 65,000, some around 345 I guess, or 375. I'm really not sure, I forgot at this point of time. In notes I'll mention, but basically for now just understand like maybe 65k. Okay,
Yes, yes.
so like that 25 bytes of memory only will be used for char, 65 bytes of memory will be used for varchar. These two differences we can mention in interviews. Okay, so obviously in real time we will prefer to use varchar only, but in which scenarios we may use char, in the sense if we know exactly what kind of data we are going to enter in any particular column. For example, we have gender column, right? In gender column we know either we will enter male or female, how many characters will be needed also we know. So in such columns if we want we can use char. For male obviously 4 only, for female some 6. If we are defining 6, wherever we are entering male, maybe only 2 bytes of memory will be wasted, that is okay. Like that if needed we can use for this kind of data, or else mostly in real time we will prefer to use varchar only.
Okay.
So like that. I hope I'm clear about the difference between char and varchar.
Yes. So why they are not remove the cat? Is it because of backward compatibility, something like this?
That is actually, the concept is fixed like that only. In sometimes previous, I mean, char is used for that particular thing, varchar is used for this particular thing.
Okay.
Maybe, you know, there might be some reasons.
Yes, yes, yes. Got it.
Okay,
Yes.
so yeah, this is about the difference between char and varchar. So with this today we understood about how we are going to create. Of course yesterday only we understood till now what we are done in the sense creating database, activating the database, creating the table, inserting the data, displaying the data. Along with that we understood how many data types are there, right, and what is the difference between char and varchar.
Yes.
Okay, so this
Means one,
is,
right? Line
yes
number 40.
please.
True means one, right? Line number 46.
Line number 46.
Yeah. True stands for one, right?
Yeah, true stands for 1. Correct.
Okay.
True in the sense 1, false in the sense 0.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Any
Yes.
values we can use here. If I'm defining Boolean as a data while inserting, I can use either true or else 1. Anything it will accept. False in the sense 0.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, this is about it.
Just one. If
Yes,
you come
please.
line number 60,
60. Okay.
yeah, here now we can see under values, we are having one curly bracket, open and closed. Can we club all these three in one curly bracket? Means
No, we can't. We
one.
can't do that. Okay, this brackets in the sense then only SQL will understand this is one row. If you can even see, I'll just show you. If I am trying to do like this, so maybe I'll just remove a comma. Let's try to enter these two values
No,
like
no,
this.
not like this, not like this.
Okay,
For
what?
example, one curly bracket, opening curly bracket before that one. Yeah, here one more. Yeah, not just same thing,
Okay,
round, round,
bracket. Okay,
and here after 28, this line number 63 after 28, one more, something like this. Can we do?
yeah. If we are doing like this, also internally we need to use this brackets.
Okay, okay.
That is
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Whenever we use this brackets, that means this is our first row of data.
Okay.
This is our second row of data, and this is our third row of data. SQL will understand like that. Basically, this is called as a separator. Comma is being used as a separator here. Within the brackets, whenever SQL sees the comma, it will understand it is separating a column. That is, this is first column data, second column, third column, fourth column, like that. Once we close the bracket, within the parenthesis, whatever we mention, SQL will understand that is a first row of data, and then we need to use a separator, and we will start inserting second row of data like that.
Yes, yes.
Okay, if
Got
we are adding one additional brackets also, it doesn't matter. But definitely, if we are removing this one, let's see. First, suppose what I'm saying. If suppose I'm removing this brackets, okay. If I kept like this and if I'm trying to insert here, this bracket also I need to remove. So this is first row of data. This is second row of data. Without using brackets in between, if I'm just executing, it will throw me error stating column count doesn't match value count because it is taking all as a columns only. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 columns it took. In table, we defined 4 columns only, right? Now it is thinking we are trying to insert 8 column data. That is why the error will be like column count doesn't match value count.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
got it.
like that. Now, and one more error, let me show you. Here, instead of this, I'm trying to give something. Here, actually, we defined some 10 only as a size, right? I'm trying to give more than 10 and I'm trying to insert, then it will throw me error stating data too long for column, name it row 1 because we already defined size as 10, right? We are supposed to enter 10 letter word or less than 10. If we are entering greater than 10, it won't accept and the error will be right. Error message will be data too long for column employee name, like that. Easily we will get the error messages and by seeing the messages we can understand what is the problem here. Okay.
Yes, got it.
All right. So with this, I'll end the session today. Actually, tomorrow is Saturday, but as this is a demo class, I wanted to take one more demo tomorrow also. Okay. And
Yeah.
tomorrow will be our last demo. Okay.
Okay.
We will, talk about sub languages concept tomorrow, and whoever will be registered for them, they will get a new Zoom link. By using that, you can connect on Monday's class. Okay.
Okay, okay. So tomorrow we'll have at 7 p.m.
7 o'clock. Yeah. And
and
from Monday, maybe we will have tomorrow, I'll say, but maybe we'll have at 6 o'clock.
okay, okay. If
Okay.
okay, okay, got it. So that we would be on the same.
On the same track. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever, if any concept is left over, I'll explain you from 6 o'clock only. That will be a kind of revision for that particular students. We already have 5 students over there. So whoever will get registered, they will be added there. Okay.
Okay, so yes,
All right. Okay. Okay then. Let's meet in tomorrow's class.
yes.
Usually
Thank you.
Saturdays I won't take, but just to cover the concepts, I'm taking one more demo tomorrow. Use the
Yes,
same link and try to connect it 7 o'clock. Okay.
yes, yes. Got
Okay.
it. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Bye.